Hello, Libra Risings. Welcome to your monthly zodiac reading for the month of May 2025. We are tearing through the year. The months are flying by. So please make sure that you check your sun, moon, and rising to see if, in case this reading doesn't resonate with you, maybe one of the other readings will. We are going to focus predominantly on Libra Risings. That way we can discuss which house any transits are going to occur while we talk about the tarot insights for the month. But in case this reading doesn't resonate with you, maybe check out one of the others, and that may be the area that's being activated this month. So let's get an overall energy theme for Libras for the month. I'm going to use the Astro Oracle deck. Let's see. Immerse. Now, this does say Cancer, so we are looking at like fourth house energy. Maybe immerse yourself in things that feel emotionally secure. Immerse yourself in the home and immerse yourself in these things that ultimately create that stability and that security that we're looking for within our, like I said, home environment, physical home environment, or even that internal home environment. So there could be something coming up for you this month that you are really meant to immerse yourself into. Let's see. We're going to do this deck first. What do Libra Risings need to know for each week of the month of May? Here in this first week, the Eight of Swords in reverse. So the Eight of Swords in reverse can really represent that ideally we are releasing ourselves from these self-imposed limitations or this self-imposed prison. And this has a lot to do with the mind because it is swords. So we're looking at thoughts and things that we tell ourselves, right? The stories that we tell ourselves. This week, we actually will have Pluto going retrograde within the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius sits in your fifth house. So it could be if you felt anything transformative really that's occurring within your fifth house. This is your house of self-expression, your house of creativity, your house of one-off romantic experiences. This could be an opportunity to really go within and really see maybe where you've been overly critical, right? Because the Eight of Swords, when it's in reverse, like I said, ideally we are releasing ourselves from those self-imposed limitations or those thoughts and stories that we tell ourselves. But at the same time, it can also indicate where we are being overly critical of ourselves or even of others. That's happening on the 4th. On the 10th, Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, and communication, is actually moving into the sign of Taurus. We are currently in Taurus season, and Taurus sits in your 8th house. This is a very transformative house. This has a lot to do with very occult like things. So the very taboo things, sex, death, taxes. This is a very psychic and karmic house. So Mercury moving into the sign of Taurus, it really could be an opportunity to reflect maybe how thoughts and stories that you have inherited, because we are talking about the 8th house. This is like karmic debt, things that we have inherited can really come back and we see them playing out in our own lives. You know what I mean? If we find ourselves repeating things that we heard as children, they can ultimately become the stories that we tell ourselves. So this is going to be a week for you to ultimately maybe take a deeper look at that and review that. Here in the second week, the Emperor in reverse. So when the Emperor is in reverse, he can be very hot-headed. He can be kind of a bully, or just kind of have the tendency to kind of use his willpower and his control to kind of assert that control over other people. This can represent someone in your life who is very strong, very assertive, and has, like I said, has the tendency to be a bully. This is when we are going to experience the full moon within the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio for you guys sits in your second house, and your second house has a lot to do with self-worth, material possessions, and financial investments. So it's kind of where we learn what it is that we value, right? It's kind of where we what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's the sign in the house that represents how we view material value and tangible value. There we go. And the Emperor in reverse, he has the tendency to not be very strategic or even analytical when it comes to certain things. So if you are struggling with money, if you are struggling with not really paying attention to the kind of investments that you're making, it could be that the Emperor in reverse is like, look, the full moon in Scorpio is revealing where that's not happening, and it's going to provide you an opportunity to let go of any, maybe of those stories that you tell yourself, so that you can begin to immerse yourself in things that actually bring you value, right? Here in the third week, Judgment. This card's represented by Pluto. But ultimately, Judgment is about listening. Pluto has a lot to do with surrender. It's about making a judgment call and allowing the chips to essentially fall where they may. Pluto has the tendency to bring up control issues, has the tendency to bring up a lot of fears, things that ultimately are hidden within the depths of our soul, of our subconscious, of our psyche, and it has the tendency to resurrect those things and bring them to the surface. But the beauty of that happening is that we have the opportunity to see things that we didn't see before, to have a sense of clarity or see the picture a little bit clearer than we didn't see before. And then we get to choose. We get to choose how we want to proceed based upon what we've discovered, what has been unveiled to us. So Judgment can be coming into a sense of higher awakening. It can represent making that judgment call and really just surrendering to the universe itself. This is when we will step into Gemini season. Anytime the sun shifts into a new season, themes and qualities of that sign kind of begin to take center stage. And Gemini is the sign of communication and thinking. Gemini sits in your ninth house. So this could be about it feels almost like spiritual expansion for you guys, right? This particular part of your life, higher learning, moral and religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, philosophical beliefs, culture, and long distance travel can really just all of a sudden go through this sense of transformation based upon a choice that you make. It could be that you're like, I am no longer going to let fear hold me back. And I'm going to learn what it is that I need to know and allow that learning, allow that higher learning to ultimately transform you. Here in the last week, we have the Wheel of Fortune. You guys have got major arcana. Like the last 3 weeks, the entire 3 weeks of this month, it's all major arcana. So these are big weeks. You guys are really going through a big transformative period, which could be why you're being asked to immerse yourself in probably what is happening each and every week. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. Focus on the present. Listen to your intuition. Listen to those intuitive hits. Allow yourself to stay emotionally regulated and really immerse yourself, right? Because here in this last week, the Wheel of Fortune represents that a new cycle of life is starting for you. Really, like the energy is finally starting to move forward. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. This is the week that on the 25th, we've got Saturn moving into the sign of Aries. Aries is the I am, it is the archetype of the warrior. And Saturn being in Aries is not something a lot of people are accustomed to, right? Saturn is the disciplinarian. It is structure. It is rules. It is boundaries. It represents how we are limited by our exterior world and our humanity. So it could be that the Aries sign of the Aries part of your house, the 7th house for you guys, this is your house of interpersonal relationships and contracts. It could be that you almost like it feels kind of like you guys could be receiving business contracts, or new people are coming into your life that are kind of going to kind of help you get the ball rolling towards the things that you're wanting to do, right? And that's a really amazing thing. But Saturn is time, it is karma. Okay, so this could be a new karmic cycle that you guys are starting within the sign of business relationships and even personal romantic relationships. On the 26th, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Gemini. Mercury, again, is the planet of thoughts, ideas, and communication, and it is moving into your 9th house. Mercury rules Gemini, so Mercury's very accustomed to being in this energy, right? So it could be that our thoughts and how we communicate begin to move very, very quickly. Okay, and being the fact that it's in your 9th house, this could be that you guys really pick up on a lot of learning. Like I said, maybe making the choice to immerse yourself into something new and really just going full force into learning whatever it is that you're interested in. On the 27th, we've got the new moon starting in Gemini. So again, your 9th house is being activated. New moons are new opportunities or blank slates to set intentions. So what intentions do you feel like you could set around this new moon? Again, if you guys are looking into learning new things, maybe traveling a little bit, this is going to be the time for you to set intentions around doing just that. Let's see what the rest of the tarot has to say. Okay, so here in the first week, the 8 of Swords in reverse, the 6 of Swords in reverse, and the Knight of Swords. So I definitely feel like Pluto being in retrograde is having an effect on you guys here, because like I said, the 8 of Swords represents kind of releasing yourself from these self-imposed limitations, usually cultivated by stories that we tell ourselves or even our thoughts or things that we say. And the Knight of Swords, Knights are the action takers of the tarot. So again, this is taking action on learning something. And with the 6 of Swords in reverse, we're going back to maybe a time in our lives, or in your lives, not me, but your lives, where things were a little bit more chaotic for us, for you guys, right? So it's kind of like the Knight of Swords, Pluto being retrograde, specifically in your 5th house, maybe around your self-expression. If you are struggling with expressing yourself, Pluto is like, we need to go back and do the deep work. We need to investigate this period of our lives that maybe helped bring these fears to life around why we struggle to express ourselves. What are we really afraid of here? And again, the 5th house doesn't always have to do with self-expression. This could have one like romantic love affairs, kind of like those romantic flings that some of us experience in our lives. This could have to do with children. The fifth house rules children, and it also rules things like creativity. So look to your fifth house and really take a look at what Pluto is trying to get you to really investigate. Take that action on how you can release yourself from these stories, from these thoughts, from this self-talk, by going back and looking at things in your past that maybe have cultivated the foundation for those things. Here in the second week, the Emperor in reverse, Justice in reverse, so another major arcana, and the Four of Cups. So it could be with the Emperor being reversed. Like I said, the Emperor has a struggle to, when he's in reverse, he struggles to be strategic and be analytical about any of the moves that he's making. And Justice in reverse is like a truth is being revealed to you here. And it's going to require you to take a sense of accountability with maybe the part you're playing in these feelings of frustration here with the Four of Cups. Right? Justice is like, look, if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling frustrated, if you feel like things in your life do not feel as fulfilling as you feel like they should, there's a reason why. And you need to examine where you have not been strategic here. Where have you not been taking action towards what it is that you want? And again, with this being the full moon in Scorpio, Scorpio being your being in your second house, if this has to do with money, if you're like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm like, it's kind of like this sense of apathy almost when it comes to money and finances. If you're like, I can't go do the things that I want to do, then the Emperor and Justice are there to be like, well, why can't you? Are you not investing your time wisely? Are you not investing your finances wisely? What are you truly spending your mental, emotional, and physical resources in that are kind of putting you here to the Four of Cups? And the Four of Cups reminds us that while we're too busy looking at what's not happening for us, we are missing the beauty that is happening for us. I'm sure a lot of us can find at least one small thing to be grateful for on a daily basis. I know that sounds cliche, but when we consistently focus on all of the things that aren't happening, we miss all of the small things that are happening. And truth be told, life is built up on those small moments, right? So the Emperor is there like, look, if you're not taking action, if you're feeling very apathetic, then what do you need to do to make sure that that doesn't happen? Okay? For some of you, if you are dealing with a potential court case where you're involved with another person who is kind of a bully, it looks like that case could come to a conclusion around this week and a decision is made. Okay. And it's going to be made, of course, in the favor of someone else. So that's either going to be you or the other person, but it looks like there is going to be a decision made. Here in the second week, again, judgment, we are looking at Plutonian energy rising up, the phoenix rising from the ashes. And the Magician, wow, at the major arcana. You guys have got a big month ahead of you. So the Magician is there to remind us that we are the creators of our reality. We have everything we need within us to create the life we desire. And the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, when she's in reverse, she really struggles with her self-confidence. She really struggles to be confident in her ability to do the things that she needs to do. So if you're telling yourself, I can't do these things because I don't know how, I don't have the resources, yada, yada, yada. If you're telling yourself that, then that's the reality that you're creating. So there's this very transformative moment where if you're struggling with your confidence, judgment is there to be like, look, it may not look exactly the way you want it, but you can take action to these things. You can make choices differently that create change. But you have to be confident in your ability to know that you can do that. And you can. You absolutely can. And again, we're looking at this key word here of immerse. Immerse yourself in these changes that you want to see happen in your life. Here, the last week of the month, the Wheel of Fortune, the Two of Pentacles in reverse, and the Five of Cups in reverse. Okay. So it looks like with the Two of Pentacles, because when we have twos, we're looking at maybe decisions and choices being made. Well, the Two of Pentacles can represent needing to reprioritize things that we are investing in. The Five of Cups in reverse represents healing and moving past losses and regrets. So it could be that with the Wheel of Fortune direct, the energy is finally starting to flow. It's moving in your favor, and it's going to allow you to make this choice to no longer continue to incorporate feelings of disappointment and regret into your life. Okay? Let's see. I want to go with this deck. Let's pull some oracle, get some additional oracle guidance. Here in this first week, show the world the real you. Look at that full moon in Aquarius. And what did I say was impacting you? Pluto going retrograde within the sign of Aquarius. Where are you struggling to express yourself and why? That's what this week is about for you. Investigating what happened in your past that maybe prevents you from expressing yourself fully. What prevents you from showing up and showing the world the real you? That's what this energy is. Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto going retrograde is going to have, that's the kind of impact that it's going to have on you guys this week. Here in the second week, confidence is your key to success. The Emperor, he is very, I don't want to say he doesn't, it's not like it feels like confidence. He's just, it's like this quiet strength. He knows what he wants and he knows what needs to be done in order for that to happen. He knows what steps need to be taken in order for him to create the empire that he's looking for. But if you're doubting your ability to be successful in that, then it's going to leave you kind of stuck in this space of the Four of Cups, where you're like, nothing happens for me the way I want it to. And it can leave you feeling bored and apathetic. But Justice is like, no. You have to take accountability for the part you're playing in all of this. You have to take that accountability. Here in the third week, and again, I was saying with the Queen of Wands, she's not very confident. Bring love into this situation. So it could be that here in this, when Gemini season starts, again, this is your ninth house. Maybe this is asking you, Gemini season is asking you to love yourself enough to focus on immersing yourself in your own self-confidence. What makes you feel confident? What moments in your life have made you feel like a very confident person? And seeing what you can, it's almost like reverse engineering. What can you do to recreate those feelings of confidence? What makes you feel confident in your life? And it could be learning more and more and more about what it is that you're wanting to know. Because we are talking about Gemini season. Gemini does sit in your 9th house of higher learning. You've got all the tools you need. All the tools you need. You don't need to depend on other people to do anything for you. But you've got to love yourself enough to recognize that. A time to give rather than to take. Here in this last week, again, the Wheel of Fortune, it could be that in order to really get this energy moving, because again, remember, Saturn is moving into Aries, and Saturn is the sign of karma. Maybe some of your karmic debt that needs to be paid is that you are willing to provide service. If you're an entrepreneur, provide services for free, invest your time and your energy into others for free, so that you can kind of begin to grow in these either personal relationships or business. Because again, Saturn is moving into your 7th house. So it's kind of like this cycle is moving, and you can begin to really invest this energy. And it might be able to help you let go of any regrets that you're holding on to. Okay? So I truly hope this helped, Libras. I hope you guys have an incredible May, and we will see you next month.